All right, so hey, people of God, this is Rashana B back with On My Way Up movement, and I'm back with a prophetic word. So, people of God, I know that I've been MIA for a while now, about 4 to 5 days. I had my nephews over, and you guys just imagine having 4 to 5 boys under one roof. It was completely loud all the time. I was really, really distracted, really consumed. I enjoyed myself, but that was why you all hadn't heard from me. I was also recuperating from a surgery. So when I finally dropped them off yesterday, it was like it hit me. Maybe I moved a little too fast because I was down for the count. I did not wake up till 11 a.m. this morning. But people of God, I have a warning for you guys. And it's pretty deep. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get to it. So anyway, people of God, I wanted to talk about the name of this word is giving over. That's the word that God gave me for this. It's called giving over. And the reason why it's called that because it's in reference to when we've been delivered out of bondage, delivered out of sin, delivered from addiction, abusive relationships, bad, situations and sin cycles. And God has brought us out. And then we find ourselves, after a while, weary and well doing. Okay. And then we'll start kind of, throwing back in God's face what he's done for us because we're bored. We'll start, reminiscing about the goodness of Egypt. Okay. And so that's what the Israelites do in Numbers chapter 11. Okay. So verse 4, it talks about this. It says, now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes. Wow. So they literally have said that the manna is not enough for them anymore. That what they ate, which was probably slave food, which was probably scraps from Pharaoh's table, okay, probably scraps from the lowliest of Egyptians that they were eating, that they're sitting here missing and complaining about being fed from the Most High God from heaven. People of God, we do it all the time. This is why the Bible admonishes us not to get weary and well doing. Okay, God is feeding them from heaven. This food that He's feeding them is so substantial that it's able to keep them strong and robust while traveling through the Palestinian desert, an arid and dry place without water unless God decides to give them water. No rain, arid, parched. Okay, but the food that God is giving them is sustaining them. They're actually in awesome, spectacular shape. How many of you know that if they were eating the Egyptian diet, they wouldn't have lasted a day? They would have been fat, full, want to slug and lay around, okay? Overweight, high blood pressure, and everything else, okay? God has given you what you needed to sustain you to get to where you are now. Now you're in a place of restoration. You got your self respect, your dignity back. You got your crown back on, king or queen. Okay. You got you a job. You got you a spot. You probably got your kids back, your man back, your wife back. Okay. And you on right now. God has restored you, picked you up out of the miry pit, out of the pit pen, put your crown back on, and you good now. And yet we'll sit around with our friends and start reminiscing about how we used to feel when we was high, things we used to do when we were drunk, how we used to act when we was in a club, the way we used to go off when we was in that abusive relationship. Dysfunctional things suddenly seem cute, and we start to miss those things. And so we have these cravings, okay, that often get to us in the wee hours of the night. This is why it's good to do midnight prayers, okay? Those urges, those cravings of that person of choice, that drug of choice, that place of choice, that place of those things or situations or people that God delivered you out of, okay? The Bible says in Galatians 5:1, Christ has made us free and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage, okay? And so the Israelites have been delivered out of bondage, being fed from heaven. It don't get no more favorable than that. So you know that this food has supernatural power in it, supernatural properties in it. Okay. And yet they're craving the flesh. They're craving meat. And so God tells them this after he hears them complaining. They're all out in the camp in front of their tents, going off. They're literally weeping. Moses gets angry and he goes to God. And go back and look at the conversation that he has with God in Numbers chapter 11, verses 10 through 15. It's a really cute conversation. I like it a lot. But Moses is real candid with him about how he feels, how frustrated he is with these unappreciative, ungrateful, stiff-necked, worldly people. He's tired of leaving, okay? And so God answers Moses in verse 18 and says this, then you shall say to the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow you shall eat meat. And you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, who will give us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore, the Lord will give you meat and you shall eat. You shall eat not 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a whole month until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have despised the Lord who is among you and have wept before him, saying, why did we ever come up out of Egypt? So God is seeing it as though they're saying, we wish you would have left us in bondage. All the miracles that you did for us mean nothing. We were better where we were. You should have left us there. You wasted your time and you wasted our time. God has decided to give them over to what they're begging for, to give them over to the cravings of their flesh, so much so that it will come out of their nostrils, meaning he is going to let them give themselves over to excess and overindulgence till it makes them sick. Okay, he's going to take his hands off the situation, and the enemy is going to come in and take control of the situation. This is how you know that if you're dealing with a controlling person, you know that they're demonic, because even our God isn't controlling. He will simply just give you over. He will allow you to be given over to the desires of your flesh. If you just are insistent upon it, he's going to let it happen. And so this is what he's saying. Okay, I'm going to let y'all have what y'all want. And it's going to make y'all sick. Y'all are going to hate it. Okay. And so God ends up, causing a strong wind across the seas and the quail come up on the land. The Bible says that they're stacked up to 3 feet high. Now that's a lot of quail. The Israelites are so selfish, so worldly and carnal that they don't even see it as overindulgence. They're excited. And so they're eating as much as they can. They actually glut themselves until the craving is satisfied. The Bible says in verse 33 that while the meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was aroused against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague. So he called the name of that place Kabroth Hatava, because there they buried the people who had yielded to their craving. This burial site was for the people who yielded to their craving. People of God, if you go back into the place that God delivered you from, there is a possibility that you will not make it back. And let's say that you do make it back physically, you won't make it back spiritually. Okay, because God has delivered you. Okay, the Bible says in Hebrews 12:1, throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily besets us, entangles us. You will be in a worse state, 7 times worse than what you were when God picked you up out of that pig pen. And only you and him know exactly what state you were in. God will give you over to their relationship, and to their relationship is so abusive that you're fleeing from it with your life. God will let you give over to those drugs that you want until you overdose. Only by his mercy you'll make it back. God will give you over to those cravings that you have until you are so riddled with disease and sickness that you will beg for him to go ahead and take you. No, I'm not fear mongering, but this is a warning. Somebody needs this. Somebody is considering going back. Somebody is entertaining, okay, cravings. You're talking about it. You're reminiscing. You're talking about the good times that you had and you have forgotten. And God is looking at it as though you're saying he wasted his time rescuing you. And God don't waste his time. And you're not a waste of time. But this is the enemy that wants you dead. He wants you out of the race as a whole. Okay? Because you on the right path is too much of a threat to him. People of God, Please take this word seriously. Take this word back to the Lord. Only you know if it's for you. Test the word, okay? Every time, okay? And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But for you, you know who it's for. So I pray that this word bless you. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and tell me what you all think about my content. And please do not consider being in a place called Kabrak Hatabel. Leave and do not look back. Do not yield to a place of craving. Okay? So y'all have a blessed one. See you soon.